She thought family meant loyalty. She thought her sacrifices would never be forgotten. But when her own sister tried to kick her out of the very house she paid for, she didn't cry. She didn't beg. She struck back in a way they never saw coming. This is the story of Amelia Lewis, of betrayal, revenge, and the moment she reminded everyone exactly who the house really belonged to. Amelia Lewis had spent 72 years building a life most people only dreamed of. A retired accountant from Boston, she was a woman of order, discipline, and sharp intelligence. Widowed for a decade, she lived quietly in her townhouse, surrounded by books, photographs, and the steady rhythm of a life lived with dignity. Her only sister, Lacey, was the person she had loved most fiercely. Amelia had practically raised her after their parents passed away young. She had paid for Lacey's college, bought her first car, and even provided the down payment on the house where Lacey now lived with her husband, Trent. Amelia thought that kind of devotion meant loyalty would last forever. She believed gratitude was eternal. But life has a way of revealing people's true colors when money is involved. The dinner table request. 2 days after Amelia arrived at Lacey's home for what was meant to be a peaceful visit, Trent leaned across the dinner table with a gleam in his eye. His tone was light, almost rehearsed. "Amelia, I was hoping you could help us out. Just a small favor. I need a cosigner for a loan. Only $180,000. It's for a big business opportunity. This could change everything for us." Amelia's fork froze halfway to her lips. She studied Trent with the kind of gaze that had once made junior accountants crumble under her scrutiny. Then she set the fork down, dabbed her mouth with a napkin, and gave a small, polite smile. "No." Trent blinked. "No?" Amelia's voice didn't waver. "You've squandered every opportunity you've ever had, Trent. I will not gamble my signature on your recklessness." The silence that followed was thick and heavy. For a moment, Amelia thought it was over. But then Lacey, her sweet little sister, whom she had loved and protected all her life, spoke. Her words cut deeper than Amelia could have imagined. "If you can't help us," Lacey snapped, her face hardening, "then don't expect to stay here much longer." The betrayal. Amelia's chest tightened. The sting wasn't in Trent's arrogance, that she expected. It was in Lacey's betrayal. This was the girl she had sacrificed for, the one she had carried through college, the one she had rescued from debt more than once. Amelia had been her protector, her provider, her second mother, and now she was disposable. Amelia said nothing that night. She folded her sweater, packed her thoughts away, and let the silence settle. But inside, something cracked. They thought she was powerless. They thought age had dulled her strength. What they had forgotten was that Amelia still owned 60% of the house. On paper, it wasn't theirs. It was hers. The legal notice. The very next morning, Amelia made a quiet phone call. Her lawyer, an old friend, didn't ask many questions. By noon, a legal notice was delivered straight to the door. Lacey opened it. Her face drained of color as she read. You're evicting us?" she whispered. Amelia calmly folded her sweater on the couch. Her voice was even, almost gentle. "Actions have consequences." Lacey's voice cracked. "But this is our house!" Amelia stood, holding up the deed with steady hands. Her eyes, sharp as ever, locked onto her sister's. "Correction," she said coldly. "It's mine. I let you live here. And now I'm taking it back." The silence that followed was unbearable. Trent sputtered in outrage, but Amelia didn't flinch. 2 weeks later, the house was silent. Lacey and Trent were gone. The deeper betrayal, but the storm wasn't over. One afternoon, Amelia's lawyer called. "You need to see this." Trent had already submitted the loan application with Amelia's forged signature. Fraud. Identity theft. The paper trail was undeniable. Amelia's hands didn't shake as she signed the report. She handed every scrap of evidence to the authorities. Days later, Trent was in handcuffs. The courtroom showdown. The courtroom smelled of old wood and tension. Lacey sat on one side, her face pale with fury. Trent looked defeated, his bravado gone. When the charges were read, fraud, forgery, identity theft, the weight of his arrogance collapsed in on itself. Lacey's eyes burned with betrayal, but not toward her husband, toward Amelia. As the judge banged the gavel, Lacey shouted across the aisle, "You've ruined our lives!" Amelia rose slowly, her back straight, her voice through the courtroom like glass. "No, Lacey, you ruined your own life when you chose him over me." The words echoed. final and cold. The aftermath. Today, Amelia sits in that same house. The fireplace crackles warmly, a cup of tea rests in her hand, and peace finally wraps around her shoulders. She rents the home to a young couple, kind, respectful, grateful for the roof over their heads. Everything her sister and Trent were not. Sometimes, when she looks into the flames, she feels the sting of betrayal all over again. The bond she thought unbreakable had turned out to be paper thin. But she also feels strength, vindication, because in the end, Amelia won. Not out of cruelty, but out of justice. This story isn't just about money. It's about betrayal, power, and the quiet strength people underestimate. Amelia learned the hardest truth, that family doesn't always mean loyalty. And when pushed too far, even the kindest heart can become steel. So remember this, never mistake someone's kindness for weakness, and never underestimate the woman who built the very roof over your head.